What is up, NFL fans, and welcome back to another episode of For Your Viewing Pleasure. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by Wesley Coleman as we look ahead to Week 10. I cannot believe we're in Week 10 already of the NFL regular season. Wesley, what's going on?
I mean, yeah, double-digit week now, and then you're talking about the Monday game is November 11th. Like you're the end of the year now. We're really getting there,
Yeah.
and I guess maybe starting to figure out who's going to win some divisions and who's already
Yeah.
eliminated.
Yeah, I think so. And you look at like the pool of 2-win teams, like it's just really weird to see all these teams. I don't feel like it should be mathematically possible to have this many 2-win teams. Obviously it is, but it's like this cluster of 2-win teams. And I did see on social media the other day, someone said, I think we should have a tournament with the 2-win teams and see who wins. And I think that would be compelling television. Your team would be in it.
I think it just makes me think that the trade deadline's too early. I think that we'd have more action if it was a little bit later and there was more teams eliminated, more teams for sure in contention instead of a
Yeah.
whole bunch of maybes out there.
Well, they'd already moved it back a week. It used to be
I
after
know.
week 8. Now it's week 9. Where would you put it? I mean, that's the question. Where's the sweet spot for you? Would it be week 11, week 12? I mean, how far back are you going to push this thing?
I think 12 kind of makes sense because then you're talking about the new players have a third of the season with their new team. I wouldn't go later than that, but somewhere in the 11, 12. This just seems, and maybe it's just a weird year where there's a lot of people in first or second place that we weren't
Yeah.
predicting, and there's teams that were supposed to win their conference that aren't even in contention right now. So it could be just a weird year and a lot of injuries too.
Yeah, I was writing an article and I was describing how after Tuesday, if your team wants to make an addition to your roster in any way, shape, or form, you have to poach someone off a practice squad, sign a free agent that's still out there, and there's a reason they're still out there. It gets crazy. If there's a big injury on your roster, what you would have to do because you cannot trade at that point until the start of the new league year in March of 2025. So, all right, let's break this down. Taking a look ahead at Week 10, what we always do. We talk about the primetime slate first. So Thursday night football, a game that I'm going to be very interested in. Why? AFC North matchup, the Cincinnati Bengals, who are trying to make a push. They're 4-5. They go to the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens just come off of a huge win over the Denver Broncos. The Ravens are 6-3. Baltimore is actually spotting 6 points in this game. Then we go to Sunday night football. Sunday night football, we have Lions and Texans in Houston. Detroit just seems to be unstoppable at this point, 7-1 coming off a win over Green Bay. The Texans have a little bit of an extended break after losing to the Jets on Thursday night last week. And then Monday night football, Dolphins, Rams in LA. LA with a big win over Seattle last week in overtime. Miami just seems to be a rudderless ship. They're 2-6. What do you think about the primetime slate this week? Which don't we also have? Yes, we do.
Yes, we have a
We have
big international matchup that
huge
everybody's enormous implications.
Giants Panthers in Munich.
Who will have the number 2 pick behind the Saints? It will either be the Giants or the Panthers. We've got to figure it out.
What outside of that game, which we just described it enough. What do you think about the primetime slate? I think it's not bad, at least Thursday night and
It's
Sunday
the best they've been. There's none, the 3 of these are all great. None are a dud. All 3, have I think the winner of all 3 games is in a good spot. The losers got questions. So I think it's I think they're great. Cincinnati, Baltimore, you come out of that, Cincinnati can be 1 game behind Baltimore, and there's still enough of a season to play. Detroit just is killing everybody right now, and
Yep.
This could be them putting an extra stamp on their resume of potential contenders or Super Bowl matchup that they're just putting away. And then Miami and Los Angeles, the winner of that game is maybe sort of in it. They really needed to beat the Buffalo last week, but at least Miami, they looked good and they're showing some things. And then the Rams are right in the thick of being able to be back and win their division. Now the 49ers are kind of falling off.
Let me ask you a question going back to Detroit. And this is just your own personal opinion. Do you believe in peaking too early? And would you put the Lions in that category?
I don't think so, just because they've had what I would call almost like a playoff slate of games multiple weeks in a row here. And I think it's teaching them to not have a letdown game. So I think it might be the opposite. Like it's teaching them this is a long season. I don't think they're going to go undefeated the rest of the year. But Dan Campbell needs some of this experience. He made some mistakes in the playoffs coaching multiple games last year, one that they probably should have lost, another that they did lose because of some coaching decisions. So he needs to be in these games. I think they can put their stamp on teams and put them away early. Maybe the coaching doesn't make a mistake that costs you the game.
Yeah, seriously.
So no, I don't think I think they look like a great all around team that also traded for a pass rusher and got stronger today.
Yep. Zadarius Smith on Tuesday was traded. It was the first trade of the deadline day. The Cincinnati Bengals, who are playing on Thursday night, they traded for a running back. His name escapes me currently.
Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, there you go. And so there's been some moves made as of this being recording. But let's talk must-see games. It's the first category we always have looking at the upcoming slate. Which game to you, or games plural, would you say are must-see games for you in this docket?
Well, I mean, so we've got the primetime games, which we've talked a little bit about,
Yeah.
but outside of those, I mean, I'll help you out. I'll tell you that's Pittsburgh, Washington.
I was going to say, I figured that would be on your board.
It's 2 first place teams. So it's we've got to they get to match up against each other. We get another strong defense that Jaden Daniels is going to play against. Washington's had a good defense. I mean, it looks like it could be a close, low-scoring game. This is the game of the week that has the highest price average ticket of any of the games being played right now. So I mean, it's showing us it's a big game, and I think it's going to look good for either team on their resume.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see the line of this game, which started out Steelers getting about 1.5. It's eked its way up to 3 in favor of the Commanders. The Commanders giving 3, but an over-under of 45.5. So if you're a Steelers fan, get on that Pittsburgh plus 135 on the money line. That could be beneficial to you if you think they could go in and win. This is going to be an interesting. There are a lot of narratives heading into this game, not so much about the Commanders, but about the Steelers. Mike Tomlin has a very stellar record, both coming off of the bye week, which the Steelers are, and against rookie quarterbacks. Now, the rookie quarterback thing, people always want to throw out that stat. He lost to Dorian Thompson-Robinson last year as a rookie quarterback in Cleveland. So I don't put too much into that. And Jaden Daniels is not your average rookie quarterback. He also lost to CJ Stroud last year as well. So it's not like Mike Tomlin is a perfect coach against rookies. His most recent record is not good against rookies. But I agree with you. This is a must-watch game. I don't know if the Steelers defense, this is going to be a really tough test for them. Because I did watch a lot of the Commanders-Giants game last week, and I was impressed with the Commanders' ability to run the football. Austin Eckler, who got banged up at one point in the game, he was running the ball, looked very much like he did when he was with the Chargers. This is going to be from a stylistic perspective. I don't know what to expect, if I'm being honest, and I'm a Steelers fan.
Well, and the Commanders did that without their number one running back. Brian Robinson Jr. missed last week. I think he's expected to play this week. So it's, they have been able to run the ball, and definitely Terry McLaurin's, Jane Daniels getting the best out of him, which has been great to see. So it's a big one. What about you? You got any other, since I took your must-see game, you got any others?
I'm looking at some of these games, and some of them have just lost their luster. Like if you were to look at this before the season, you would say, "Oh my gosh, Eagles Cowboys Sunday at 4:25 in Dallas." Now you find out Dak Prescott's going to be placed on IR with a hamstring injury, and it changes everything. Dallas also sucks. Dak said it himself on the sideline when they lost to the Falcons last week, and so that game loses its luster. I'll tell you one in terms of implications, and maybe this is a sneaky good game. Actually, I am going to save it for a sneaky good game. I don't know if there are any other big games. 49ers, Buccaneers, possibly. That's considered must-see TV. I don't know. Like that doesn't even scream exciting must-see television. Nor does Broncos, Chiefs. I don't know. Where are you going? Anywhere?
I can make a case for the Jets and the Cardinals.
That was my sneaky good game I was going to have.
Yeah. And we can save it for that. But you've got, are the Jets rebounding? Are they figuring out how to use Devontae Adams? And Arizona's in first place. Arizona's in first place ahead of the Rams, the Seahawks, and the 49ers. And this is a home game for them. So we can save that for a sneaky good matchup, but I can't ignore it.
And so I don't think outside of the primetime games, there are many must-see television games on this upcoming schedule. So let's go to fantasy lineup games. Remember, this doesn't have to be both sides. This could be just one team. Last week I said, hey, if you have Eagles in your fantasy lineup, you want to play them against the Jaguars. And they came to fruition. Jalen Hurts had a big game. Saquon Barkley had a big game. Devontae Smith. Where are you thinking this week in terms of your fantasy football game?
Yeah, I've got two that really stick out to me, but I'll start with the Thursday night game.
Yep.
The Bengals and the Ravens. Again, you got quarterbacks, you've got running backs, you've got wide receivers, and even tight ends on both teams that you got to have starting in your lineup. Multiple receivers now that the Ravens have traded for Johnson out of Deontay Johnson,
Yep.
former Steeler great Deontay Johnson. But legend of the Pittsburgh nation.
Put him in the Hall of Honor already.
But no, pretty it's a big one. There's tons of people there.
Yeah.
If you have any of those players, you got to be starting them and see where they go. What about you?
Yeah, so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking along the same wavelength that I did last week, and that is, okay, who's playing the Jaguars? And so the Vikings are playing the Jaguars. And so I could see, Justin Jefferson is a guy you start every week, no matter what. But Aaron Jones could actually have his spot in this game as well, akin to Saquon Barkley. Not that he's similar too, but in terms of running the football, I could see the Minnesota Vikings being a team that you want to start a lot of. The Jaguars, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And I'll go to another one. I'll say Buffalo playing the Colts. The Colts are 4-5 with Joe Flacco at the helm, probably for the rest of the season if he can stay healthy. And Buffalo's been putting up points. So there's plenty of opportunities there. Where else are you looking?
I mean, the Dolphins and Rams too. Multiple players on both offenses that need to be playing. Kyron Williams is a touchdown machine.
Yep.
Matthew Stafford's putting up numbers now that Cooper Kupp is back. Puka missed three-quarters of a game last week. It's so weird to punch somebody in the head that has a helmet on.
That is.
And then with Miami looked great last week on offense. I mean, I think that the game was tied twice in the fourth quarter, and there was 4 lead changes in the fourth quarter. So you can start a Shane now. You can start Tua. He had a great completion percentage, and you got Waddle and Hill that are now fantasy starts that they were all season. You couldn't even play them.
Something to keep your eye on. The 49ers are coming off of their bye week. Christian McCaffrey's 21-day window has started. Now, I have not heard, and I don't know, maybe you did, if he's expected to play this upcoming weekend against the Buccaneers. If he is, that changes everything. When he's in the lineup, Brock Purdy, it's his safety net. He has that ability for them to run the ball. And I know they've ran the ball well this season, but it opens up everything. And so Christian McCaffrey, for all those people that took him first overall in their fantasy drafts that have been waiting and keeping him on the bench and not dumping him, I don't know if it's this week, but he's coming back soon. Have you heard anything about him?
I have not, but I would assume that that this is when they've expected. I think he probably could have been pushed before the bye, so I think we expect to see him. I think they need him, and they need to let him get some reps and get fully into the offense by the time they are hopefully making a playoff run for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're 4-4 coming off the bye. It's crunch time for them. Absolutely. Any other fantasy games that you would want to talk about?
Nope.
All right, let's go to our sneaky good matchups. Let's start with the one we both wanted to talk about, Jets-Cardinals. The Jets coming off of their win on Thursday night last week against the Texans. The Cardinals beating the Bears. All of a sudden, the Cardinals 5-4, first place in the NFC West. The Jets just trying to cling to life. What do you think about this game? This is an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Devontae Adams looked like he is going to, play for the Jets now. They did beat the Texans. So, I mean, early AFC season darling who's been kind of up and down.
Yeah.
Listen, I have no idea if you can expect Aaron Rodgers to be consistent from week to week with what he's doing. Even last week, I mean, he threw the touchdowns, but it wasn't really a great game from him. And Arizona has a lot to play for. They're probably in a position that not many people expected, even maybe some people in Arizona. I think this was considered to be kind of a transition year for them to grow and get better and have new coaching staff and all. And they've looked really good and won some big games. So I think this Arizona needs to win this game, and it's also hilarious if the Jets lose.
Yeah. I mean, this is a game definitely that if the Jets lose, you think, okay, that's the nail in the coffin. Because when you look at the AFC, and granted, teams can get hot and
You
they
mean
can
the
go on a
not being
run.
able to make the playoffs coffin?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
just make it
Yeah.
just making sure. I mean, it's not the.
Is there another coffin?
I mean, Aaron Rodgers is getting up there in age. And he has been known to kill coaches. So I didn't know if you're meaning another coach goes into the coaching coffin. Aaron Rodgers retires and quits, and starts. He's 4 years before he can run for vice president.
That's
So
true.
there's another election
Yeah.
in 4 years, and we know he's interested.
Yeah.
I was just making sure we were talking about the playoff
Okay, but we're
coffin.
on the same page. And the Cardinals, I just don't know what to make of this team. This is one of those, if a sneaky good matchup for sure. Another game that doesn't pique my interest for the game in and of itself, but for one side of it, man, the Chicago Bears fan base has been through it a lot. And Caleb Williams has not really looked great the last few weeks. And he didn't look good in Arizona. And DJ Moore on that. Did you see that play where he just walked off the field? I'm assuming he thought he
DJ
was going
Moore's
to
had a
run it.
bad attitude a lot of times this year
Yes.
with
I
Caleb
don't know.
Williams.
Yeah, for sure. And so the Bears are 4-4. They're playing the Patriots at home. If you want a narrative game where you're like, okay, what is interesting about this game? If the Bears lose this game, you got to think Eberflus is gone. I don't know if they would probably fire him in season, I would think. I mean, my gosh, the guy's had a lot of opportunities. I don't know. Your thoughts on this one?
I mean, Eberflus, I think, needs to be fired. I'm not sure if they fire him at 4-5 with a rookie quarterback. I think that they like having Caleb Williams hear a voice. I think it would depend on how they do it. But I mean, New England also is bad and
Yes.
just lost to Tennessee, who is also really bad. So I don't see Chicago losing this, and if they do, yeah, there should be kind of an overreaction. This is not the Drake May versus Caleb Williams bowl that we were all asking
No.
for.
But
So
hey, the Bears, it started with the Hail Mary loss to the Commanders. And if they lose this one, that is going to be 3 straight. That is just going to possibly put the Chicago Bears fan base over that proverbial edge. And they've been teetering on that edge for a long time. But I'm trying to think if there's any other sneaky good matchups. Broncos Chiefs, it's a divisional game. The Chiefs are coming off an emotional win. They have a short week. Patrick Mahomes comes up gimpy. I guess it's an ankle injury after Monday Night Football. The Broncos absolutely get embarrassed in Baltimore last week. Everyone thought, whoa, look at the Broncos defense. They're really good. And then Lamar goes out and hangs up 41, I think, on the Broncos.
yeah, 41-10.
Yeah, and Bo Nix, he's looking good against Carolina. Yeah, Baltimore's a different team. So
I mean,
I think
Sean Payton did tell us
he did.
not to get
He
too
did.
excited about their domination of the Panthers.
He did. You're right. So we'll see if Ferris Bueller can go into Arrowhead and do anything. But I mean this is tough to talk this game up outside of the fact that it's a divisional game and the Broncos play the Chiefs tough, blah, blah, blah. It's hard for me not to just see the Chiefs moving to 9-0.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Let's go to, you could only watch one. Which game are you choosing this week?
Man, it's kind of a toss up between a few. I'm going to stick with Cincinnati and Baltimore. I've been hyped about that one. Regardless of the Bengals' record, Joe Burrow has played really good this year.
Yep.
If T. Higgins is back healthy, or playing at least, I think it gives them. This could be a high scoring game, could be a fun game, and Cincinnati has done okay against Lamar sometimes.
Yep.
And he's coming off of like a huge dominant game, and he's not the one necessarily that strings together a whole bunch of perfect games in a row. He does do some up and down with his performances. So, and then again, you come out of this game, Cincinnati wins. There's one game separating the two of them now. So, Cincinnati, who real early on could have had a lot of people thinking their season was already over, can be right back in the thick of things.
But if they lose this game,
they might be
that's
needing
tough.
a winning to win out.
Yeah, I mean 4-6 is that's a tough in the AFC and the AFC North. That's tough. Not that they can't do it. And if T. Higgins plays, like you said, that's a huge factor in this because when T. Higgins is in the lineup with Jamar Chase, it's difficult on the defensive side. And Baltimore has the worst pass defense in the NFL statistically. They need T. Higgins back in the lineup. But this over-under is at 52.5. You taking the over or the under on this one?
Over.
Hammer the over. That's what
Hammer.
I'm saying.
I mean, by the way, we made a whole lot of people rich last week by saying to take the under between the Titans and the Patriots, and they even went into overtime and still got the under.
Take the under. For me, this is not a homer pick. I just think that there's a lot of intrigue surrounding the 6-2 Steelers and the 7-2 Commanders. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch. I think that there's a lot of intrigue around both of these teams. Steeler fans are kind of getting themselves revved up with Russell Wilson at the helm, thinking that this could be a key to the offense. 23.4 points per game is huge for the Steelers, who have averaged 17 and 18 respectively the last 2 years. So this is kind of like turning the corner. And there's a lot of Steeler fans too that want to see what is this defense going to do against a legitimate offense. And the Commanders are a legitimate offense. They put up a ton of points. So I'm curious about the 45.5. I haven't made my score prediction yet because I want to see the injury reports for both teams. But for me, this is the must-see game of the week. This is the could only watch one. It's the one I would choose.
Can't argue with it. It's good.
I figured you would. Your LSU boys at the helm. You're going to want to watch. So let's go duds of the week. I say plural because I think there's multiple here. Which is one of your dud of the week?
I mean, this for multiple reasons, but Giants and Panthers at 9:30 in the morning on the East Coast in Munich, Germany. I don't know what kind of playing surface they're going to be on, and I just know the teams are bad. No, I always like when they have these early morning games because I can put it on. I've got football all day. This one will be on a TV, but I have no idea how much I'm actually going to like watch the screen.
What did the people in Germany do to deserve this? That's what I want to know. I mean, it's bad. And when the schedule makers made it, everyone knew the Panthers were going to be bad this year. And most people knew the Giants were going to be bad this year. And so they're like, yeah, let's just put these two crap teams over in Europe. They won't know the difference. Maybe they won't. I don't know. Maybe they're just happy to see it. That's a good dud of the week.
They're used to soccer scores. This could be 3-0.
For me, I'm going to go Titans Chargers as a dud. Chargers are 5-3, but they have a really good defense. It's not going to give up a lot of points. The Titans, I don't know if they sniff double digits would be a huge win for them, even though they're probably going to lose this game. I just don't see much intrigue here in this game in LA. I don't know. The Titans are awful. They are bad. And yes, that's after beating the Patriots last week. Do you have another dud?
I just want to say on that one. So, I mean, the Chargers are at home in Los Angeles, massive market, right? I mean, and no matter what, they're winning games. They're not terrible. They've got the super coach from college. The tickets are $17, starting at $17 for the Titans at the Chargers. Like, what in the world? It's the lowest ticket price of the week. And that's just insane to me that you're talking about $17 in that, $4 billion stadium or whatever it is. You can go watch a Chargers game with Jim Harbaugh coaching.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have any other duds?
No, those are the two that stick out as just, awful that I don't want to watch. They're just don't seem entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I could be talked into Eagles Cowboys being a dud just with the Cowboys and the way they're trending, even though they just traded a 4th round pick for a wide receiver who's going to be playing with no quarterback.
Hey, Jonathan Mingo, right? Ole Miss great.
Yep. He's something. I mean, I don't know. So there you have it. So any final thoughts on this week 10?
I mean, we're really there's some great matchups. I love the primetime games. We've got a couple of multiple first place teams playing each other with the Steelers and Commanders and Detroit and Houston. So really getting to some exciting games and some teams starting to separate. So it's good.
Agree 100%. So Wesley, why don't you tell everyone where they can find your coverage of the New Orleans Saints and the NFL in general, and where you can find you on social media?
Yeah, so you can we cover the New Orleans Saints for the Dome Patrol podcast. So at Dome Patrol PCast on X. You can find me on X at HootAtWesley13. I did vote and I didn't post about it. You won't find anything about that. That's my personal business. And Jeff, where can we find you and your coverage of the Steelers?
Well, you won't find anything about my voter registration or anything like that. I don't talk about that at all. It's at J Hartman, HARTMAN_PIT. And you can Steel Curtain Network, wherever you get your podcast. Check us out. But Wesley, man, it's been a lot of fun as always. Thanks, and we'll talk next week.
See you next week.